All right, so today we're going to have Gloria talk about ICHRA plans, the benefit of working in the ICHRA space, how it will help you grow your business, both with business type clientele, but also just increase your value proposition on how to, what I would say, work smarter, not harder. So I will pass the rock over to Gloria to talk about what we have in store. So, Gloria, take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll just get right to it. We have a very nice presentation for you, and I just hope that you guys can take something from this. Can you hear me perfectly? Because sometimes my computer goes crazy. Okay, great. Um, Let me, does any, by show of hands, and I don't know, some of you guys are not on camera, but can any, in the chat, can you guys just put in how many of you have heard of ICHRA and what ICHRA is and how you can benefit from this? Get a lot of thumbs up. Okay, great, great, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. See, share screen. Let's see, we want this screen right here. So some of you have seen this presentation already because you guys went to the Miami summit that Phil had, and I already did this, but we're now since developed a couple of other things that Phil and I have been working on to make it easier for clients, for agents to be able to get foot in the door. So I'm just going to go over what ICHRA is and how it could benefit you in your practice and how this is a door opener that not only will you help the employer save money, but you will also open up other doors for 401ks, for retirement planning, for life insurance, for key man insurance, and things like that when you're sitting with the owner or the person in the HR department. Preferably, it's the owner, and that's who we want to sit with because they're the ones that are pulling the trigger on this. So let's get started. Let's see if there we go. So what is ICHRA? ICHRA stands for the Individual Coverage Health Reimbursement Arrangement. That's been in effect since January of 1st of 2020. We all know that in 2010, the ACA opened up, the exchange marketplace started, and it was open for individuals. And the individual plans were just plans that were standardized of bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. In 2013, HRAs came into the mix, but they could only be used for group insurance. And so in 2020, ICHRA opened up for companies of any size. And ICHRA, basically what it is, it's based on reimbursing the employees for insurance rather than them buying it for them. So that's the difference. You're reimbursing your employees versus what group insurance does, which is buy it for you. Employers provide an allowance. How it's done, they provide an allowance. It's a tax-free fund employees can use to purchase individual health plans. And so this shifts everything from a defined benefit to a defined contribution. In the new modern model, employee-sponsored health insurance empowers the employee's choice because they can make a choice that fits their needs. And it can replace a group health plan or class out a segment of the population. And I'm going to show you how that's done as we go through this presentation. The good thing about the ICHRA is there's no minimum participation requirements. And it also meets the ACA large group mandates. So it works for both small, medium, two family, 2-member employee or 2 employees or 5 employees or 50 employees, 1,000 employees, 500 employees. It will work. The generational shift in employee benefits started when the soaring group rates increases made conventional group benefits financially unsustainable for the employers and the employees. Because if every year the insurance, the cost of insurance went up based on claims and based on participation. And so if people didn't participate, that brought up the cost of insurance. Well, the future of work trends compound the problem when you had a lot of companies that were diversifying, their employees' schedules, maybe going from full-time to part-time. They had different teams in different counties or different states. You had people that were seasonal. So that became a hodgepodge of different employee statuses, and that made it so hard for employers to offer benefits. And then a lot of people resigning from work, going to work for themselves, after COVID, a lot of people just trended to go working for themselves and only working part-time, or so that diversified a lot how the employee was able to provide benefits. It made it harder. With ICHRA benefits for employers is that it's financially predictable, because they are determining what the contribution could be, whether it be by class or age. It's a fixed, predictable cost year after year. So if you're an accountant, you can put that on a budget line, and you can revisit that a year from now. And if it needed to stay the same, it could stay the same. So for employers, having ICHRA, it benefited them because of that. It was financial predictability. Customization. It's not a one-size-fits-all plan. Usually when you send a census in for a group plan, they're going to find the people that are sicker, the age, if it's, what's the age group, and then that's going to determine, and it's going to run how much it's going to cost. And 9 times out of 10, the younger generation or the younger employee is paying for the elderly that's 56, 60, 40, and is on 5,000 medications, and you're paying for that. So it also gives network flexibility and access to all plans. So if a plan that works for me doesn't work for Phil, because Phil's on 20 medications, Phil, you're not on that, but and I am not on any
How
type
dare
of
you? How dare you?
I'm paying for Phil's medication. I'm paying because it's one plan. And so and it's also it can offer a group plan to one class and an ICHRA plan to another. So you can divide that. If you want your C-level employees to be that are the healthier ones, the ones in their 20s that have no medications, and they can get a group plan, you can have a group plan for those, and then all your hourlies or your seasonals or your part-timers could be in an ICHRA plan. You could classify it by age. So it gives that ability to customize. And then what that does is it does give you recruiting and retention, because it's also known that an employer that offers benefits, you have a higher chance of retaining your employees because you're offering that benefits. A lot of people, it's been known that a lot of people will leave a job that has no benefits to go to one that has benefits. Even if they get a slight pay cut, they'd rather have the benefits versus not having it. And then it removes the risk of large claims and rate increases, because especially for the 50 and above or full-time employees, there's no more guessing which plan fits the diversified workforce. Your part-timers, your full-timers, your seasonals, your interstates or out-of-states or inter-counties. It gets employers out of the insurance business, and it gives them peace of mind, because you're going to be handling this. Usually their HR department is the one that's giving all the census and figuring all this out. And they don't have a 215 license like we do. They don't know insurance. They just know the basic that's being fed by them. So it gets them out of the way. And we the professionals step in and help them find the best plans and find the employees the best plans that fits their needs. So what are the benefits for the employees? Well, the good thing about it is it's a personalization and choice. Total freedom to customize the individual plans. So Phil may need a family plan for him and his family. I may just need a plan for myself. It's no employer forced, one size fits all plan. It transforms the employee into an informed healthcare consumer. So that's what I like about these ICHRA plans, because everybody's going to be responsible to pick a plan that fits their needs, not a one size fits all. Often results in a lower premium, because if the employer is putting inside doing a reimbursement or a contribution, it often results in a lower premium. It also gives the ability for the employee to be able to pick a family plan and make it, stretch those dollars for them. Portability. The employer owns the benefit. So every time you've been in a job that you had a group plan, guess what happens? You have to either go get COBRA. Well, this is not the case here with the ICHRA plan. The employees own the benefit, and they could keep it just as long as if they lose their job and they pay the premium directly to the carrier, they can keep the plan and port it with them. So there's no lapse in or having to go pay for COBRA, which is an arm and a leg and half a lung. So it has that portability. A group health plan versus ICHRA. Let's go ahead and analyze that. Right now, the group health plans are defined benefits. The employer does everything from collecting the census, picking the plan, paying the cost. They do everything. The employer selects a carrier and a plan, whether it fits my needs, Phil's needs, or anybody else's needs. I don't care. That's the plan we're going to pay for. That's the plan we selected, and that's the choice you have. You could choose to opt in, or you could choose to waive it. So no choice or flexibility whatsoever in group health plans. It's a one size fits all. It's usually at a higher cost, and I'm going to show you that with some illustrations that we did and some things that we ran for some companies. Rates are blended. Young and old pay the same thing. So it doesn't matter. With ICHRA, you have these. It's a defined contribution. So the employer tells us, I want all my C-level employees to get $1,000. I want my full-timers to get $700. I want my part-timers to get $300. I want the people in this state to get this amount, and I want the people in this state to get this amount. So it's a defined contribution. It's consumer directed. The employee or the employer sets the contribution amount, and the employee picks and chooses the plan that best fits their needs. Now, 6+ carriers, depending on what state you're in, large and small networks, which is very important. You got 30+ plan options from bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and premiums are based on individual age and the calendar year plans. So if I'm 23 and I pick, a bronze plan because that's the one that fits my need, and let's say Phil is 52, and I know you're not that age, Phil, but I'm using you. And he's going to pick the same plan. My plan's going to be cheaper than his. The same exact plan. It's because it's been done by age. So what's the best candidate for ICHRA? So when you're going out there, who are the best candidates for the ICHRA? Well, employers looking for cost control and predictability and flexibility. That's 99% of the employers out there. They're looking for that cost control. And I'm going to show you why, because in a little bit further. Who are the business types? So you got sole proprietors, you got partnerships, you got corporations, S corps, limited liability companies. This is open for anybody. Anybody that has a company that has employees, whether you're a sole proprietor, you can put them on an ICHRA plan. There's savings in the payroll taxes, and there's savings, and there's a tax-free taxes deduction in the contribution. Typically, any employer that has a 10% or more cost of increase for the past 2 years with low participation rate because employees can't afford it, employees in multiple locations, whether it be multiple counties or multiple states, employees employers that want to offer more employee choices and multiple classes like full-timers, C-level, part-timers, seasonal workers. And these are the employee classes. And so what I love about ICHRA that you can mix and match all these. You can have a contribution level for full-timers, a contribution level for your salaried workers. You can have a contribution level for your seasonal, part-time. You can have a contribution levels for somebody that's a non-resident alien with no US-based income. Well, what does that mean, Gloria? Well, that means that if you hire somebody to work for you in, let's say, Colombia, and it's in a call center in Colombia, and you've got a call center there, or you've got people working in the Dominican Republic, and you're paying them there, you can offer them a health plan. You can offer a contribution and write it off on your taxes here, and they can find a plan that fits their needs in that country. So those, and you can mix and match all this. You can have a lot of different classifications into one plan. So it gives you that versatility to change things. What are the ICHRA disbursement requirements? Well, employers choose what the ICHRA disbursement is, as long as it's offered fairly to each class. So what does that mean? You can't take and have 10 salaried workers and give one contribution and give the other 5 because you don't like them as much, a different contribution. That has to be fair for everybody. So within the salary worker, if you determine that the salary contribution is going to be $500, it's $500 across the board for every salaried employee. You can't discriminate like that. There's no limit how much the employer can offer. And I had a consultation today with a potential business, and he was offering $1,000 contribution for all his C-level employees, and he was offering $750 for all the rest of his employees. Pretty hefty contribution. And I mean, he wants to help. He wants to retain his employees because his employees are really good. He says, the more I pay, the more I save in my taxes. And he did the math and discussed it with his accountant, and those numbers made sense. So there's no limit on how much the employer can offer. And ICHRA is considered affordable if the employee's cost of the self-only silver plan is less than that 9% of the household income. And if you sell ACA, you know what that is. You can't, that's something that if it's affordable, you can do that. It's considered affordable. So popular disbursement strategies, they could be tiered by contributions. They could be tiered by age and relationship-based contributions. Like I said, there's 11 different classes that you can, or 10 different classes, and 11 makes it that you can mix and match it. So you could tier it however you want. Implementation, how it's decided is you decide the budget and the contribution amount. You send the ICHRA notices to the employees, communicate the change, fund the reimbursement account, set up the payroll deductions, and that's all done with a very sophisticated program that Messer has for us to be able to manage this and be able to see it in real time where the funds are. And that way you are able to manage these books of business very easily without having to rip your head off doing things on Excel spreadsheet. It's an employer portal. You can add new hires on there. You could provide team data. You can provide team data to your employee. You could terminate employees on the spot. Remember, it's done in real time. And you can monitor all the bank transfers and employees' account all in one system. So you don't have to go, calling the bank and saying, what do I have? No, it's all monitored because everything is linked into the system. So what are some of the questions? These are some of the questions that you might want to ask when you're trying to set up an ICHRA account. Which employees classes are eligible? And we walk you through all these questions. Which one are full-time, part-time? They've got a dedicated department that is going to ask all these questions. We are trying to put it together so that It is very easy to gather all the information. It becomes much easier for the employer to give us the information in one sitting. Whether it's multiple locations and states. So these are basically some of the ICHRAs. And then talk about what plan. The plans, once we go shopping for the plans, they show them in a PDF format, very easy to read, and easy to follow with the employer once you've done all this. Then you have to determine what's the amount, how much you're going to reimburse. Is it going to be done by tiers? Is it going to be done by age? Is it going to be done by classifications? So these are some of the questions you want to ask. Now, the good thing about ICHRA is that there's a significant employer tax savings, and this is what's going to get your foot in the door. It's 100% tax deductible business expense. It's 100%. ICHRA reimbursements are deductible to the business, not treated as wages. It reduces the taxable business income, and it improves the cash flow, because now you have more that you can set aside. Whatever you were saving from the group plan, you're now putting that money to work someplace else. So that's it, and it's 100% deductible. There's a payroll tax savings, which is a major advantage, because ICHRA reimbursements are not wages. Employers avoid that 7.65 FICA, Social Security, and Medicare. They also avoid the federal unemployment, the FUTA, and the state payroll taxes. Now, state payroll taxes diversify depending on whatever state you're in. We're not able to calculate that in the payroll savings, because it would be a monster, and that changes consistently, and it has rules. If you get to a $7,000 range, now you don't pay it, or you pay it, and there's very convoluted rules. But with just presenting them the Social Security and the Medicare and the FUTA savings, which is the federal unemployment, that alone just goes ahead and pulls the trigger for you. So if you're able to show that, which is what we're going to be showing you in the weeks to come, that we'll be able to provide you with this and be able to send you a place where you can send to the employers and have them fill it out, and the groups will come to you. So an example, there's a $6,000 annual ICHRA allowance that this employer was paying. The employer payroll tax saving was $460 per employee per year. So if you take that, if it's 10 to 50 employee, and you multiply that 460, and just in the payroll taxes only, do the math. 4,600 if it's 10, do the math if it's 50. So that's the second savings. Not only are you saving on the cost of insurance from the group insurance, you're also saving the payroll taxes, and it's 100% deductible. So ICHRA plans don't have to be hard. We have a comprehensive platform that does all this calculating for you, that you enter all the employees in there. Like I said, it's done in real time, so you could add employees. It does all the transferring of funds, the disbursements for you. It does the transferring from the owner's bank account into the employee's accounts, and then the employee pays for their ACA plan or their ICHRA plan themselves. They get a Visa card, and that card is what they use to put the automatic payments on there. It's done in real time. It's a real-time reconciliation. We can check to see if there's funding that's missing, and we can always call the employer or the HR department and say, hey, we saw that you only send this amount. Has somebody been terminated? Has somebody been added? It's off, and it's going to show it to you in real time. So that's the comprehensive platform that is there for us to use.
Hey, Gloria.
Yes.
Drew asked a question. Does being hired at a company that offers ICHRA qualify as a QLE?
Speak English to me, Drew. QLE, qualified.
Qualifying life event.
An employee that goes from a company that doesn't have ICHRA to an ICHRA plan?
Now, say somebody gets hired in June and the employer offers an ICHRA plan. They want to put that employee on the ICHRA plan. Can they do that, or do they have to wait till open enrollment?
No, they can. It opens up. The employer specifies if there's a waiting period. If it's 30, 60, like, if you have a waiting period before you can get your benefits, a lot of employers, and I try to convince them to do it, have a 30-day max, don't go into 60 or 90. But some employers, those are the standards. So it depends on the employer, what they want to do. So if it does, they don't have to wait till open enrollment. But if that's one of the stipulations that the employer puts into place when we're drafting out the ERISA documentations and regulations for them, then yeah, it's called an adoption agreement, which is what we're going to talk about. We will put that together, and then that adoption agreement is where the employer is going to stipulate how he wants to run his ICHRA program. A lot of them don't. A lot of them just 30 days in, or some have it that the minute they get hired, they can get their own plan. But that's all stipulated in the adoption agreement.
Yeah.
Okay. So ICHRA, the employer ICHRA costs. So the employer does have costs for this. There's an initial, an annual $250 enrollment fee. And what this does is it helps us create, because we have to be ERISA compliant. And so it helps us create the custom plan documents. It helps us create the adoption agreement, the summary of plan description, and all the notices to employers, to the employers, and the ICHRA guide. So it does every year, because plans do change, and yearly we have to do an open enrollment for these ICHRA employers. There is a $250 annual enrollment fee for that. Now, there is also a $20 per enrolled per member administration fee, and that is paid per month per member. So if you have 10 people, you're looking at paying $20. Now, some employers will pass this $20 over to their employees. Some of them just write it off as an expense. So it all depends how they want to take care of that. They can pay it themselves, or they could pass it to their employees. And then there is a one-time setup fee. So every employee that's created in an ICHRA account has a one-time setup fee. It's $10 per employee, and that's to add them. You can, and that's done either by uploading a census, or you put them in one by one. That covers up the setting up the bank account and giving them their virtual card. So that's what that costs, and that's a one-time fee, so that they're only going to pay that once. Okay. So let me tell you the growth that we're in right now. This is becoming a very hot topic, and a lot of people are starting to look into this. A lot of agents it really hasn't sunk in, because they haven't done the due diligence of researching this, or figuring out how does this work. Well, ICHRA has grown more than 1,000% since 2020. It's estimated that 450,000 employees and dependents are covered through ICHRA in 2025. And last year, they had, in 2025, they had I think it was a 34% increase on adoption of plans for small companies, which was a double-digit increase. And it's said that it's in its early stages. So we're still at the bottom of the totem pole here. It's still in its early stages. And those of us that decide, you know what, I'm gonna start doing these plans. I'm gonna start going out there and pounding the pavement. I'm gonna start making calls of people that I know that own businesses and doing these presentations. We're going to provide you with the presentation. It's like a 9-minute, it's like 9 slides. And I think I may be able to cut it down to 5. That will be 5 to 15, no more than 30 minutes in the door. Sit with an owner, show him the presentation, show him the type of savings, and at least get him to get you some information so that you can come back and say, these are your savings, and close the deal. We're working on that right now. And the slides are already done, but we got the second piece that Phil and I have been working on. And so we're going to get that to all our agents under Valor's umbrella. So, because this is going to replace group insurance in the future. And I'm going to show you how. Although it's early stages, it's predicted to grow to cover over 2 million people by 2032. That's right around the corner. That's not far from us. So do you want to have a piece of that pie? So who's adopting it? Well, small employers, many small businesses that never offered employee coverages because they could not afford a group plan because they were either too expensive, have decided to adopt an ICHRA plan. And up to 83% of the small businesses with HRAs didn't previously offer health insurance. So smaller businesses are offering a lot of these ICHRA plans because it's keeping good employees on their books. And you have large to mid-sized employees that are also looking at it because the cost of group insurance has gone up, again, because of those factors, how many claims and the ages of the participants and how much participation. So usage is growing among larger companies too. I'm going to get ready to pitch my church for their enrollment, for the staff. Why? Because I was able to sit with the person in HR and I said, listen, they were my test dummies for the PowerPoint presentation. And so they're interested in cutting costs. Everybody's interested in cutting cost. And so more than 34% of employees adopted this from 2024 to 2025. Employers with 100 to 99 employees showed a special strong adoption increases in 2025 of 49%. And organizations with diversity, with diverse hourly and dispersed workforces also in 2025 included Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, somebody got that one. And they have regional grocery chains everywhere. And I confirmed this. I went into, we have one of our friends that's a Chick-fil-A owner. And I said, so how did you guys fare with the ICHRA? She says, oh, that was the best thing that's ever happened to them because they're able to control the cost and it's a tax deduction for them, a huge tax deduction. And then you have mid-sized employees and firms that have anywhere from 50 to 500 employees are shifting to ICHRA they're escaping that 15% to 30% annual premium renewal rates. In some cases, they realized anywhere from 20 to 50% savings by moving over to an ICHRA. And then the larger employers are utilizing class-based structures. So they're doing that with their C-level employees. They've got their part-timers, full-timers, seasonal, just a lot of, they're able to tailor the benefits. And switching out saved them a ton of money. So they could take that savings and put it to work elsewhere. So you've got a plethora of people here that are going to want to see what an ICHRA plan is. It may not be for them this year, but trust me, when they get those renewal rates, and you may want to jot it down and put it in your pipeline to, check with them, a year from now, or, just before they're renewing the month before and say, did you get your renewal, letter for your next year's renewal? Because it's based on those things, the age, the claims and how many participated. And I'm telling you, if they have more than a 10% increase, they're going to be calling you. But if you could get ahead of them and call them. So what are the key points? Increased retention. 92% of the employers who provide an ICHRA in 2024 renewed it in 2025. Fewer than 10% dropped off. So a lot of people that saw the savings in the ICHRA, they retained. So 92% of the employers, only 10% dropped off. Carriers are launching specialized ICHRA-friendly plans because they're seeing that this is going to be the trend for the future. Group plans are going to go bye-bye. They may stay there, but they're going to be, majority of them are going to be replaced by ICHRA plans. There's changing times. And just like in life insurance, when we started off with term and then worked our way up all the way to the beast, which is the IUL. The same thing is happening with health insurance. So I'm gonna show you some real world Florida ICHRA examples, some examples that I also ran. This is a case of a medical practice. This was a doctor and her staff. Basically it's a specialty clinic. The doctor and their staff. It was 10 W-2 workers located here, right here in Central Florida, and the renewal increased every year. And the owners wanted to control the cost without having to hurt their recruitment. They were looking at letting their office manager go. And she told me, if you can show me a way that you can save her salary, we'll consider this. Well, the group plan that they were on, the monthly group premium was $9,800. So an annual cost of $117,600. And their renewal for that the year was 14. There was a 14% increase. And the poor staff, the poor younger staff, because she had a lot of poor younger staff. She had like four older members in the family. All the younger staff paid for the older staff because they were the ones on all the medications and stuff like that. So we came in, we did an ICHRA, and she provided the allowance. It'd be $900 for herself and $550 per the staff. Maximum annual exposure was $84,600. The payroll savings tax was $6,500. So the net employer savings was $39,500 for that year. Now we didn't save. I mean, the office manager made more than that, but it took a huge chunk off of the bottom line that she could contribute towards keeping her office manager. Why it works? Different allowances by role. So the physician was able to choose a PPO with broad networks, and the staff chose affordable ACA plans. She's on a Florida Blue plan here, which is a PPO that works for her and her family, the physician, and everybody else got an ACA plan. The employer locks it in the budget, and no carrier negotiations or renewal. I hate to say, the insurance agent that did her group didn't know anything about ICHRA. He was very pissed that I took this away from him. So that the key phrase is, instead of one expensive group plan, you fund benefits by role and let each employee choose what works for them. So case number 2, we haven't closed this one. We're waiting for open enrollment on this one, but this is a multi-location. This one we had.
Gloria.
We haven't closed this one yet. We haven't closed. Some of these are still in the works, but I just want to show you what I went out there and started doing, because I was like, nobody knows about this. So this is a multi-location business. He's got an office in Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. Now, Orlando and Tampa, we're an hour and 45 minutes from each other, but Miami's 3.5 hours from us. So the network of doctors is totally different. And so they had him on. He's based here in Orlando. He's got a Tampa office, Miami office. The people in Miami were getting shafted. So the 35 employees, offices in 3 Florida metros, remote and in-office mix, constant carrier access issues because the plans he used to pick didn't work for the people in Miami. They had ongoing complaints about the doctors not being covered. The cost was $312,000 a year, and very limited network in South Florida. It was a single carrier. He has a single carrier trying to provide coverage for all these networks. So we came in. I gave him an approximate, a flat allowance of $600 a month across the board. Employers choose plans by county. So this is very important. The people in Miami are able to choose their plan that works for them in Miami, and the people in Tampa as well. Maximum annual cost $252,000. Payroll tax saving in $19,000 with the net employer savings of $79,000 per year. He could take those 79 and put it someplace else. Why it works? Florida ACA markets vary by county. Okay, and I'm pretty sure in the states you guys are in, the same thing. Employee picks plans with local providers, and employer avoids geographic carrier issues, and it's perfect for hybrid and remote teams. So the key phrase here, Florida isn't in one market, in one insurance market. ICHRA lets your employers or employees shop locally while you keep one national strategy. So the fact that we were able to show him this, I haven't closed it yet. I'm waiting for, he wants me to call him 2 or 3 months before his open enrollment. So we can, work the numbers again and collect the census and do all this. But this is an example of how ICHRA can help all these employees and employers, especially the employers. Case number 3, this is an employer priced out of the Florida small group market. This is an employer that was going to cancel his insurance, cancel his group benefit. And one of my friends called me and says, hey, are you able to help him? She's an accountant. She brings me a lot of business owners. And I said, yeah, I could probably take a look at it. We looked at it. He has 18 employees in business. They're blue collar worker and admin staff. That's all he has. Again, the claims driven rate hikes. So this here, they had a bunch of older people that were on a lot of medications and very sickly, and the claims drove their renewal increase to 18%. Their annual premium was $168,000 for those 18 employees. And the employer was considering dropping the benefit altogether. He said, we're not going to offer it anymore. I came in, I said, okay, well, let's take a look at what you have. And his renewal letter stated 18% increase. I was like, holy mother. Participation rate barely met because now he's cutting the cost of how much he's going to contribute to this. And the employees can't afford it. They might as well just go to an ICHRA plan, an ACA plan on their own, or be with no insurance. So employer was frustrated and ready to cancel everything. I came back in. I said, okay, what would your allowance be? He said, I can afford $500 a month. That cut his annual max cost to $108,000 plus his payroll savings tax of the $8,200. So there was a net savings of $68,200 per year for this employer. Employer controls the spending. There's no participation rules. So if only 3 of these people participate, he's only paying $1,500. He's only contributing $1,500, and 3 people are happy, and he continues providing the benefits. Benefits preserved instead of eliminated. So the key rule here, the key phrase to use here is ICHRA lets you step away from a broken group market without taking benefits away from your employees. And so you can see the savings. And the last case I have is a seasonal or mixed work. This one was a funny one because this was a hospitality construction type of service. They had 22 full-timers, 10 seasonal. They had a fluctuating headcount, meaning the seasonals would come in and then they would leave. They would only work for temporary and then they would leave. And it was an HR nightmare to be able to make sure they were sometimes overpaying for people that weren't working anymore because they had so much fluctuating ins and out on the roster. The HR department couldn't keep up with it. So they were forced to cover fluctuating roster, admin headaches. The HR manager, when I spoke to this location, she's like, I'm about to quit just because I just need to concentrate on healthcare. I don't even do any of our other HR duties because this takes a lot of my time. And the annual cost with this company was $205,000 a year. So I gave her a preliminary ICHRA for full-timers only, and the allowance is $450. Seasonal workers excluded or delayed. And in this case, Drew, just to answer your question, he excluded them from the beginning. When they would start working, he would put them on the ICHRA and only give them, I think it was $200 he was going to give them for part-time work. And so the annual, but we were calculating this with the full-timers only. I told him, let's take a bite out of the pie, one bite at a time. And the annual cost savings was $118,800. Payroll tax saving was $9,100. So the net savings for this employer was $95,300 per year. The benefits align with the workforce reality. There's no penalties for headcount changes because we just set them up once, and then we can activate them, deactivate them as they come in and out. Employer pays only for eligible employees, and it's perfect for the Florida seasonal economy. So when he has we're now discussing what happens now when your high season comes, which is usually the fourth quarter. How do you want to handle these seasonal workers? And that's a conversation that we're going to be having to find out, do you want to have them insured from day one with that benefit, or do you want to not insure them at all? So so ICHRA adjusts to your workforce, not the other way around. So ICHRA gives Florida employers a predictable cost, or any state employers predictable cost, payroll tax savings, and flexibility that traditional group plans simply can't offer anymore. And that's why I know that in the future, they may keep group plans, but 90% of all employers are going to go towards an ICHRA plan because it gives them the flexibility and more savings, and it's 100% tax written off. So, we're excited to partner with you. There's some examples of how we can partner with you. You could, if you're a licensed agent and you just want to be able to do this, 50 employees, let's say at $25, that's $1,250 a month, or $15,000 a year. You just have to get, transfer all your ACAs over to us as a licensed agent. If you just want to be a referral partner, sure, absolutely. We'll take referral partners. We'll take all that business from you. No problem. We'll pay you a flat amount of 50% of the yearly commission, which would be $7,500 in this case, for a one-time referral fee. This is my number, my email address. And if you have any questions, this is the time to ask them.
I'll throw in there real quick before, I know naturally you just came off mute, but real quick, the process with this is not just, hey, we're going to price out every single person's ACA. There is a process. Census is involved. It is not just, quick and dirty. So just to give you an idea, we're working on a process to simplify it. We're even looking to have Messer kind of take that on for opportunity's sake. But the idea really is that we want to find out simple numbers first. Is the gross worth the grief for the client? And then we have to do normal census as if you were doing group insurance, which we have the form and everything. So it's not just like what Gloria said is a simplification, but I think when it boils down to it, having the support, accessibility, and the team around you to get the job done is the most important part. And so, there's been extensive research and work on this that we have available to help. So I think that's one of the most important things in discussing this. There's a lot to it, but what she's showing you is the sizzle, but we have to prepare the steak first, and that can take a little time. So setting expectations with the client, as always, is key, and making sure that you guys have everything you need. We're here to support from that standpoint. So just want to kind of say that in reference to it. And so, yeah, Netra, I know you had a question. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. Thank you, Phil.
Mhm.
Is it like a marketplaces application? There is something we have to select as an ICHRA plan, or how do we set up?
Good question. That's part of the process that Phil was talking about. This isn't something that you're just going to go in there and say, okay, I got all this information. Now let me go shopping. It is, and we do team up with the team in Messer because it's a lot of moving parts, and we got to stay compliant with the ERISA. We got to make sure that everything's done to the T. So that is part of the process. The good thing about it is we have such great support with Messer that as of right now, they are shopping all the plans for us. We're just providing them the census. They're coming back with all their findings. And then we are able to look good in front of the employer when we go back and say, these are the options. And then we sit with each employee. We are trying to simplify. This is very new to everybody. So I could tell you right now, it's the growth that's going to come from this. The person that deciphers and cracks the code to ICHRA and cracks a streamlined process whereby not only are we having the banking and everything done, but also the presentation, the enrollment and how we're doing it. It's going, and that's what we're working towards with Messer. We're working towards that goal because right now, every ICHRA platform that I've gone on, every ICHRA meeting that I've gone on, every ICHRA, they're missing the secret sauce. I'm looking at it as a business owner. I'm looking at it as an accountant, a tax preparer, tax accountant for that matter. How am I going to be the one that stands out in the group out of all these other ICHRA companies that are out there that are just showing them the first base? I want to get to the grand slam. And so that's why we're developing and we're plugging in the holes that other places are meeting. I got a meeting tomorrow. I'm going to sit in another ICHRA presentation with another company to see, and I'm just going to ask questions. And basically, I'm snooping because I want us to be able to dominate in this arena. When people say ICHRA, they're going to say Valor.
And the big thing too, just to kind of position this appropriately. So as you're talking, think about the idea of working smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
So how hard is it to write one application for one family and going through all the rigmarole of that, just dealing with all of that in general for X number of dollars per member per month, right? So if I reposition that conversation, talk to a business owner, and from there, I'm having the opportunity to network and work with 10 families in one shot.
Mm-hmm.
So, you look at 10 families, let's say it's the average nuclear family of 4 people. So now you have 40 members per month with one shot, and you're talking about saving on tax deductions and opportunities for the business owner. Now all of a sudden that's a compelling story because as we've talked about on the life insurance trainings that we always say, when you try and approach business owners, what do they care about? Taxes. They want to save on taxes and they want to grow their business. So if we can show a way to reduce their overall, financial position from, a bill standpoint and enhance their deduction opportunities, we're now reaching that level of value add where they're like, okay, I want to listen. And then you just open the door for multiple opportunities to then increase your value proposition to sit with all of them, talk with all of them, and add your value from that standpoint. So there's just a lot to utilize on the back end after you get this information rolling with the business owners, and no one knows about this. Like, no one knows about ICHRA plans. No one has ever heard the word ICHRA. It's still foreign. So you have a higher opportunity to get in front of people with your value proposition today than you will, say, 2, 3, 4 years from now. That's why we find it valuable to have this conversation today.
Now, just so you also know, I've already ran this with Phil. I just got to send him the slides. The presentation that you would, the door opener and the presentation you will do as a insurance agent is going to be available to you all. You can white label it with your own logo. I don't know if I could show them one of them, Phil. I mean, I don't
Sure.
mind. I
Sure.
could share the screen again and show you guys what it is I'm talking about, what has been developed. And I got 2 of these, so we haven't really picked one just yet. But just so you'll all know that we're developing this because we want you guys to be successful. So this is one of the longer ones. I think it's 10 slides or 9 slides, something like that. But this is what you would present to the employer or the owner of the company. And I labeled it for small businesses for that same reason. The fact is that there's a problem employers are facing, and it's literally telling them what they're facing, and they're going to identify with some of these things. And then what is ICHRA? You're going to be able to explain it to them without having to fumble for words. What are the benefits for the employers? Some of them are so, and what are the benefits for the employees? So we've tailored this so you could go in there and do a 15-minute presentation and come out with something. And then there's an example of a 15 employees, a traditional plan. What's the savings? Again, that bottom number hits, and they're going to ask, well, what's my savings? So we've been tailoring this additional tax, payroll tax advantages. We've been making these slides for you to be able to go out there and say, I'm going to sit with the business owner and I'm going to show them the slide, and I'm going to come out here. And then what are the next steps? Review your current health plan cost, compare with the ICHRA allowance strategy, run it side by side, run a side by side savings allowance. And if you want to schedule a consultation to see if ICHRA is a good fit, that's what we're here for. And then you could put your phone number and that's it. That's your presentation. So, like I said, we've been developing this little by little. We've been, putting a lot of effort into this, because I know that once we have all this in place, you will be unstoppable. So, and this is going to open other opportunities. Now you've saved them all this money. Well, do you do life insurance? Do you do group life insurance? Absolutely. Do you do key man insurance? Absolutely. And then that's when we get the ball rolling. Do you do 401k plans? Absolutely. Because we have all that in our wheelhouse. So it's going to open up other. Do you do ancillary products? Yes, we do. So it's a one-stop shop. So this is like a door opener, but then you also have the ability of, adding more and more and more. And I tell you, when you help an employee out, or employer out with their bottom line and help them save taxes from Uncle Sam, you're going to become the person that they're going to want to sit down with and do everything else with. Yeah. From a tax savings. You always have to approach it from a tax savings, because that's what really makes employers pull the trigger. How much am I going to save in taxes? Show me the money. Any other questions?
No. Gloria, this is Preeti here.
Hey, Preeti.
How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Good. So thank you so much for the presentation. And this is me second time or third time listening to you. So yes, I got the idea. But again, for me to quote and present to any employer or to a family who has an LLC. So if I want to do a group plan for the family, I did 2 of them. So now if I have to switch them to an ICHRA plan, how do I present them? And then there was one group health for last year it was with Messer and this year it's with me. So in case if I have to move them to ICHRA plans, so how do I present? So those some things I really need good deep details on it. So is this only through Messer and you, me, or Phil, or is it like Messer, Phil, and me has to be there?
So I'll answer real quick. So with Messer, the contracts are there, but it's not like group with Dennis. Okay, so you'd be the agent of record with all of them. You would own the business. You would get paid like if it was selling individual ACA plans. So it's similar but different. Okay, so
I mean to
yeah.
ask for the first presentation with the employer. Later on, quoting that's on the back end on the first time.
Yeah, with the initial quoting, so the process is typically, and we're actually working on a little micro site. So that way people can get an estimate without going real deep. So it's like I, Phil Resch, am spending 100,000 a year on health. and I only want to spend 80,000. What kind of deductions, what kind of benefits could I get? Not just, $20,000, but what type of tax savings am I getting? So we'll have something like that in a short form. And then if someone wants to add the additional information, like Gloria Abar is in Florida, and so she's going to get this. Phil Resch is in Tennessee. He gets this, and then it'll break down the the total savings based on geographic location for the organization. So none of that is like Messer-ish. It's when we actually have the Excel document for the full-blown census, then they run it through the program that we use to basically run the payroll and the other information. So the conduit is our contracts through Messer, but everything is client facing, does not have a Messer branding to it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I have
figured. So
two other questions, Gloria. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So, this is like employee is contributing some customized amount. Let's say he wants to give previous in the case 2 and case 3, you said $300, $750, fix it to one employee. The employer is contributing. Let's say on the first case, he's giving $500 to one employee out of 10 employees. So for the ICHRA plan, and then that may not be sufficient if the employee go in surgery or something else, because that person will be on the ACA plan, right? Do employer will raise the contribution for that employee, or that's it for that particular year?
No,
Because
the good thing about the ICHRA plans is the contribution is a set contribution. It could be done by class, it could be done by age, it could be a combination of classes. So let's say, for example, that employer is an hourly employee, and for all hourly employees, the employer is giving $500 contribution for every employee. If he goes and he shops for a plan on an ACA plan on the marketplace, and his plan cost, let's say the plan cost per month is $550. Well, the employer has paid $500. The employee is only responsible for $50.
okay, gotcha. So let's say some of the ACA plans for the low income earners, like 60,000, 70,000, for them, I do see $0 plan as well. So why don't the employee choose that $0 plan, and why he has to go for a $500 plan?
It may be a plan that fits them better. I mean,
Okay.
every employee has the ability of picking the plan that suits their needs. So it may be that the plan that he's getting, which would be the $550 plan versus the $0 plan, fits his needs better.
mhm.
Okay, so my understanding is the employer is giving $500 for him. Either he can use it for as a PPO plan, or is it he can pick a $0 plan and save the 500?
Well,
Well, the 500 would go back to me as the owner. It wouldn't go to the employee.
if he gets a $0 plan, then the employer contribution, he doesn't pocket it. The employer saves on that, because the employer is
Okay.
going to know, if you're, for example, if he's giving you a contribution of $500 and your plan only costs $200, he's saved $300. He's only going to fund $200 to pay for that plan.
So that up to 500, he's contributing. Whatever the plan he's picking, either $0, 200, 500, it's up to the employees. The rest is his employer saving, correct?
Exactly.
Correct. So
Exactly.
yeah, so if he can qualify for a bronze plan at $0 because of subsidy, but now you can get like a platinum plan, right? Because of the amount given, then it's just better coverage, hopefully. So that's the big perk for that.
So now in this, so everybody will be suitable under ACA plans only, right? So because I don't see in Texas, I see PPO plans. I see only HMO and POS plans.
Well, we do Florida Blue here. And
Okay.
those are the PPO plans. They don't have to be an ACA plan. We just go straight to Florida Blue and go to Florida Blue and find PPO plans. So they can get any it doesn't have to be an ACA plan.
Okay, they can get
9
any
times out of 10,
Okay.
that's what they pick, but it can be a regular, health plan that's, under the ACA umbrella.
Right, right. So my second question, sorry, because of my confusion, I want to seek clarity. So
Mhm.
one of the thing you said, like it's either by pricing or by class or by age. Let's say this employer pick an age. So the employees who are under 30 to 40-year old, the employer is contributing $300. Let's say the employees who are under the age of 40 to 60, they get $500. Can they do that?
Yes, they can determine by age if they want the younger people to have $500 and the older people only to have $200, they can do it that way. They're the ones that determine how they're gonna contribute for either age or classification.
So next question is, you said like somebody joined this employer in the month of June or July, and they do not have to wait for open enrollment period. There is only 30 days. Could you explain me more on that? Because how
That
do you...
that's all going to be stipulated in the adoption agreement. The employer
Okay,
is going
based
to
on the agreement.
stipulate
Gotcha.
if the employer has to work 90 days, 60 days, or 30 days, or they could start the following day after they get hired. That's going to be stipulated by the employer based on what their HR rules are.
Right. So usually ACA plans work from Jan to December. So is this also the same way, like any 12 months from the joining and then there is a renewal, or is it continuously going on until the employee
You
cancels?
can okay, so you can do ICHRA plans if they're on a group plan right now and their plan is going to be ending, let's say in October. You could start an ICHRA plan 2 months before, start all start jumping through all the hoops that it gets to get that ICHRA plan in place before their plan expires, or when they're in open enrollment for the following year. It could be calendar, it could be month to month. There's no set time. You don't have to wait for open enrollment come November to get an ICHRA plan in place. A lot of these group plans, some group plans start in February, some group plans start in August. It all depends. Do they want to replace it before the time? I wouldn't recommend that, but you can if you wanted to.
Okay, that's fantastic.
You can't cancel the group plan and start it on an ICHRA plan.
Right. My last question, Gloria. So usually on the group plans, they ask the office or the employer sits in one state. So the majority of the employees has to be in that state so that they start the group plan from that state.
There's no minimums.
So ICHRA doesn't have anything like that.
There's no minimums. They can have one person in one state and 10 in another. They could still, because it's by contribution.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, great questions, because obviously this is a great topic. I know we hit overtime and everything. So anyone have any last question or before we bid everyone adieu for the day?
One last question from me.
Yeah.
Since it's still too much new and it's still getting hard to understand. So as of my job, like we are individual independent agents, our job is to search for the small employers, give them the presentation, bring in the census, present it to Gloria, and Gloria will shop around and bring it back and present it to them. Is that right?
What's gonna happen is that's the steps that we are providing right now that we're trying to streamline. That census can come to me, you can copy me on it, but we will send you an email link, an email address that you will submit your census to. That is going to go to the Messer team that works with ICHRA. They're the ones that are going to do all the shopping, and then they're going to respond back with what they have, what their findings are. We have a meeting with them this Friday. We're going to try to fine tune this a little bit better so that we can be more efficient when it comes to quoting, and make it easier for you guys to know what the steps are, what you need to get for us. And that's the reason we're developing all this. But that's you're going to go sit down, do the presentation. If they want to move forward, hopefully the micro website will be done so that you'll be able to give them an idea of what their savings would be. It's not set in stone. That's just an idea. That's an approximate. And then once they get the complete census, we send that off to Messer. Messer does the shopping, gets back to us. I can assist you in the presentation if you want to do a virtual presentation, because I can't travel all the way around the United States. But we can do a virtual presentation with the employer if you need the assistance, so that I can explain and close the deal for you. I have enough experience doing that and answering the questions that they may have, and then asking for the setup fee and all that.
Sorry, one last question, Gloria. So do we also have to have contracts with Messer, or because you already have, that will be enough, right? We participating as just an agent or a referring to you?
Well, Gloria has her contracts in Messer, so if she's going to help you, you got to have your contracts in Messer too.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because
All right,
I'll tell you, Messer will not give us any assistance if contracts are not with them. They've got the comprehensive platform that they have is unique to them. So
yeah. All right, folks.
And you're gonna
it
need
is that time. Is that time? I'm getting the look of it's dinner time. Get your butt out here. So with that, I will bid a fond farewell. Appreciate the time today, Gloria. Thank you so much for the support. And folks, we will talk soon. Thursday, 4 o'clock Central. We're going to do a carrier deep dive on life insurance side. And don't forget to register for the Chicago event on August 29th and 30th. It's Saturday and half day Sunday. We will see you soon. Thank you again.
Thank you, Phil. Bye, everybody.